It's Linda G. And we've got Tom here, your favorite person. And this time we're doing live.
Live it is.
The first time we've done live. Hi, Steph. Hi, Roxanne. Hi, Lucky Girl, Linda Ann. They's coming. Oh, it's up to 267. We've only been on here a few seconds.
Very good.
Okay, so hi, Kevin Loving. Hold on one second. We got Lisa Foster here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so hi, Lisa. I did ask, we're going to ask you to post some questions. I do have questions people posted on my YouTube channel. How are you doing since I talked to you last?
Doing good. Just hot weather and staying inside most of the time.
Yeah, because it's so hot outside. I heard some people have died of strokes, heat.
Yeah, even a postal carrier died.
What?
Down in Houston, I think it was. Just dropped, and he'd been doing it 30-something years.
Was it a heat stroke?
Yep.
Was he in a car or was he walking?
I think. Yeah.
Oh God, that walking.
Yeah. Yeah. Our postal carrier drives a little truck and he has 410 boxes to do in a day. And so he's a zoomy guy.
Yeah. My guy has but when it gets hot, like it's starting to get, I always leave a little cooler with ice water for him out there.
Oh.
I did when I lived in Novato too. But in Novato, they had to come up and drop the mail off in a slot that went into my garage. So that was easier. This is more out on the street. So
yeah,
you just hope somebody won't take his water. Okay, so now those of you who, most of you are familiar because when we do our prayers, we do Most Benevolent Outcome. But Tom is an author of The Gentle Way and numerous other books that talk about how did you even get started?
Oh, which start, you know?
With starting to know about this gift of most benevolent outcomes.
Sure. In the Sedona Journal of Emergence, like this one, okay, back in the late 90s or so, I'm not sure exactly when it was, Robert Shapiro had a channeled article. He was channeling Zosh, and Uncle Zosh, as I call him, said, you can request benevolent outcomes in your life. And I said, oh, that's interesting. I tried the law of attraction, and that didn't work really. It worked a little sometimes, but not most of the time. And so I was searching for something else. And so I started experimenting with requesting benevolent outcomes, and I found they work perfectly. And I'd never been able to say that for anything that I'd ever tried before. And naturally, I wasn't sure exactly what to say, but I was saying out loud. And as I've been told many times since then, when you say one of these prayers, these MBO requests out loud, it creates an energy. And even when everyone says the very same benevolent prayer, as I'll call it, then it has a crescendo effect. So if 1,000 people say the same prayer, it's like 10,000 people. And so it takes on these great energies.
Right.
And that's how I started. I just started with the very mundane stuff of a parking space in front of a busy restaurant or in my drives and things like that. And it just grew to the point where I was able to request really important things like I request the most benevolent outcome for the perfect house for me. And one day after I said that, my wife found the perfect house for us. And other things you can say, I request the most benevolent outcome for the perfect mate for me, for the perfect job for me. So there are many big things you can request it for, but you have to understand when you request the big things, it takes a while for it to come about. So you can't get excited at the end of the month and say, well, it hasn't happened yet. You have to say the request and release.
Yes. Yes. And let me tell you something. When things do come true, it gives that intention, or what I also call faith, a shot in the arm, because you'll get excited and think, oh my goodness, these things work. And it gives you more force behind the prayer.
Yes. It gives you the confidence that these things work. And you just have to make it a habit, because some people think, oh, I shouldn't ask for very much because I'm sure God or my guardian angel or whoever it is too busy. That's not the case. Even when I've had conversations with Creator, and anybody could talk to Creator said, Tom, tell your readers that I can have a trillion conversations going on all at the same time. So don't worry, just go ahead and ask for me and you'll get me.
Yeah. It's interesting how that works too.
Yep.
So how about the UFO situation? Have you gotten any words from them about the universe at this point?
About the universe.
Well, are they worried for us still? The way
Are they worried?
Yeah.
Things are moving. Now, you've heard this whistleblower Grosh. I'm not sure exactly how to pronounce his name, and he's made a big splash. But also, on June 10th and 11th, Dr. Stephen Greer had his webinar, and then he had a free press conference on that Monday. And if you go to disclosureproject.com and click on the YouTube one, because it has 3 hours of this press conference. And it originally was 4, but they knocked out all the questions from the press in order to shorten it down. I think you'll get a really good sense of what's coming along in the next year to 2 years. There's going to be major revelations. There's going to be major legal cases filed. He's put together a minimum of 35 attorneys that will work pro bono to file these RICO organized crime statutes.
What? Really? What is the
Yeah.
name of this again?
I'm sorry?
What is the 3-hour press conference? Where can I go to see it?
Oh, okay. You go disclosureproject.com, okay, and just scroll down until you find the press conference and click on the YouTube version, because Facebook, and I think there's another one in there, they only have a 2-hour version, and I think you should watch all 3 hours. It was originally 4, but they had to tighten it up in order to, I guess, get it on YouTube.
So this disclosure project, are they talking via the entities from the other side, or?
Dr. Greer hints at it, okay? He doesn't want to go too far, because a lot of the people that he talks to, would be tuned off.
Yeah.
And so, like in the press conference, they had whistleblowers. They had 4 whistleblowers. One that had worked at the South Pole at a Raytheon site that was really interesting and was supposed to be shut down, but it wasn't. And another guy at Fort, oh gosh, on the East Coast, can't remember the name of it. And all these people had these fascinating stories about working on back engineered type uh, aircraft or spaceships and things like that. They've really put together a massive amount of work,
Oh my
and
goodness.
and I'm told by Antura, my ET contact, that it's going to really show up in the next 2 years as they start filing these RICO suits and all this stuff.
You know, when I did my last Sedona event, I practiced a little bit of the CE5 that Greer talks about. I have his app on my phone. The first time I did it was a year before. I just ad-libbed it. I can't speak the language he speaks, but I asked for them to come in. And then I told everybody to start snapping with their phone. We got, now they don't call them UFOs. What do they call them? UAEs?
Well, UAPs, but you know that's a bunch of bull.
Yeah.
That's try to confuse everybody.
Right. So we got them on video, on
Yeah.
camera, and over by a tree where there was no light. It looks like this orange flame, and you can see a being. It wasn't a human being standing coming out of the orange flame.
Ooh.
It was fascinating. So the next year, which is this past year, yeah, I just was there in May, I think, because it took me 2 days to recover. We did it again, and we had lights, more so like something was passing through us, like with a tail on it.
Oh.
And someone in the crowd actually took a picture with me, and behind me was standing an energy form. Now, they said there was wings. I was so busy with everyone. I had over 70 people that I remember seeing it and asking her to send it to me. I never got a copy. I've been asking till the cows come home. Can I get a copy of that being that was standing behind me? Because terrestrials don't have wings, right?
Which ones?
Terrestrials.
Well, I mean, they can, but typically no.
Sometimes I think it's light too, the way light is reflected. So,
hey, if you ever go back to Sedona, invite me. I saw my first UFO in Sedona.
Oh, I saw 53. I saw 53. What is this?
And I requested a benevolent outcome to see that UFO. And we were at the Enchantment Resort out on the patio having dinner, and one went right past, and naturally everybody had gotten up from the table, and I was to keep the table. We didn't want them clearing off. Everybody went taking pictures and to the restroom, and I'm looking around. Oh, nobody here to help me see it. So,
How far away was it?
it was coming out of Boynton Canyon, and it was this light, and it wasn't where you could really see it. I thought, oh, it must be like an airplane going over to the Mesa, the land at the Sedona airport, but then it just disappeared, and it didn't have blinking lights. And at one time I had a private pilot's license, so I was looking for the blinking lights. There were none. It was just this one light coming out of Boynton Canyon.
Yeah, the first time I went with a professional with military goggles, I saw 54 UFOs, and I'm talking like two side by side going straight up and then opposite directions. Me and Tana were so high because it was so overwhelming. I was driving without my lights on with my car, a rental car, and the cops pulled us over. And I'm sure they thought there's a drunk driver in there, you know. So the guy comes up flashing the flashlights, and I was like, "Oh, what did I do?" He said, "You didn't have your lights on." I said, "Oh my God, how stupid." Anyway, I said, "Listen, we just saw 54 UFOs. We were just on a thing. We're just overwhelmed." And Tana was all excited, and the guy's looking at us. He said, "Ma'am, I've lived here 30 some odd years, and I've never seen one UFO."
Oh,
That's because he don't look up.
yep.
I just want to bring this up real quick. Ness had posted my September 16th event in San Francisco with Kevin Loving Vibration and with Mel Dorr. And I just want you guys to know we have one ticket left. One. It's unusual because usually I sell out within 48 hours, but this one ticket's been sitting there for a little while. So yeah, I'm going to sit down and watch this event. So, you had a whole bunch of questions answered on your last. By the way, Tom has a newsletter.
Yes.
Now, does anybody have Tom's link for the newsletter? Hey, Dan. Anybody have Tom's link? Yeah, Kevin. Oh, sorry, Kevin Lewis. Right, I got Kevin Loving. I'm sorry, Kevin. Kevin Lewis will be there. Ooh, Brenda says she saw with the full moon. Oops. I don't know who that is. It's some Ivana intuitive, so we'll have to check that one out. The June full moon. Someone said 939 in the room. The June full moon, a very bright lime green UFO.
That's a
How
pretty
interesting.
one. So the link, all people have to do is go www.thegentleWaybook.com. And when you get there, there's a place to sign up for the free newsletter. I do it free. It's my gift to the world. But you can then click on articles and news, and you will find all my newsletters since 2007 archived there. So you can read them. You can see where I've hit, where I've missed. I don't hide anything. And but I get a lot of information that I think will make you think and add to your understanding of the world and the universe.
Right. Thank you. And it's a good newsletter. Here we go. I've got the one that Purpose of Dreaming in the Universe.
Yes.
That's really interesting.
Yeah, I was recently, I'd seen a video of this octopus, and it started thrashing around and even ejected ink and everything. And so I contacted Octopus Soul, because you can, all these animals and beings, insects, birds, you name it, all are connected to souls. And so I connected to Octopus Soul, and I said, Octopus Soul, first, are you the soul for all the octopuses on Earth? And Octopus Soul said, yes, I am. And so I went on to ask about, where he was from and things like that I try and ask, because in, let's see. Now, I had not contacted Octopus Soul before, but in my gentle way with pets, I contact a bunch of the souls, like dog soul, cat soul, and
according
soul,
to this,
and so on.
there's even insect souls.
Pardon?
According to this comment you made, there's even insect souls.
Oh, yes.
I didn't know.
Absolutely. In my book, I talked with roach soul. So but Octopus Soul said every single being in the universe dreams. Okay, yeah. Every single one. And he said you humans haven't even hardly scratched the surface on understanding your dreams, and here we're telling you that every single being in the universe dreams. So take that and ponder that statement.
Yes, that's true. Thank you, Lisa. I do have wonderful moderator. Thank you. So, Tom, can we talk about negative entities that you
Okay.
have in this newsletter?
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
still
confirm me that.
learning about them, but I was asking Creator about, I think it was Creator, about these negative selves. People send me questions to ask in my meditative sessions from all over the world. Okay, um, and so this one lady just sent me a bunch of questions to ask Creator, which I did. And part of it were about these negative spirits. And from what I have been told so far and can understand, because keep in mind, we're only scratching the surface. There's so much that we can't even understand yet. But when Creator created this universe, our universe and the trillions of other universes were created in 10 positive energies. Now, when our Creator wanted to see if the 4 negative energies could be worked with, and they had never been able to be worked with by any other of these trillions of creators. And in fact, what some people call the Council of Creators, but Creator says no, it's just a group of very, very old creators that were some of the first that were birthed by the Creator of Creators, which is a long story there. I call her Big Mama. And so, okay. So anyway, when he decided to work with this negative energy, when he created our solar system, because our whole solar system had to be in this negative space-time continuum. And when you get out to the Oort belt, it starts fading away and you get back into the 10 positive energies. But when he created this solar system in these negative energies, the leftover from these negative energies seem to have a life. They're not souls. That's what Creator was very emphatic to say, that they're not souls, but they have a life. But as we raise our vibrational level, they will dissipate. Their energy will dissipate. So that's if you go to the website. That's my latest newsletter, the July 1st newsletter for that.
I got it right here.
Okay.
But the negative was part of the plan?
Well, yes. Creator wanted to see if the 4 negative energies could be worked with. And another reason was that throughout this whole universe, everybody had been stuck for several million years, maybe a billion years, I don't know, have been stuck at one level around 5.3, 5.4, and no one's vibrational levels were increasing. And so by doing this, when we humans, which are known as the explorer race, goes out to the stars around 3250, 3400, we're going to take little bits of this negative energy with us. And I don't think the way they described it would be for like a baby, it's like 0.02 hundredths of a percent to 2% negative energy is what we're going to take with us. And we will introduce it first to all of the planets in this federation of planets, which there are 20,000. And they, in turn, because they all have thousands and thousands of spaceships, they will carry this negative energy out through the whole universe and eventually to all the other universes. So we're the stars because we've been able to figure out how to live in this negative energy.
Boy, I'll say, but you know, we kind of need the yin yang. It's really weird how this universe, Eckhart Tolle even talks about, you
Yeah.
almost have to have resistance to grow.
Yeah. Now, one of the weird side effects of this that I've just learned recently is that if we see like a spaceship, let's say a flying saucer type spaceship, and maybe it's 100 feet wide. Um, the outside will be 100 feet wide. The inside exists in the 10 positive energies, so it's much wider. It's much more roomy,
Wow.
and so I've asked Antura. I said, "Well, will the spaceship that you come see us in um, is the interior at least 3 or 4 times wider than the outside?" And he said, "Oh, at least that." But he
Wow.
wouldn't say how much. He didn't want to scare us. And the same thing for their mothership. The mothership is straight up above us, 50 miles up, and it's cloaked so that we can't see it, so it doesn't frighten us to death. And so I said, well, if the mothership is 3 miles wide on the outside, is it at least 9 to 12 miles wide on the inside? And he said, oh, at least that. So he doesn't want to scare us by telling us that it could be 100 miles wide. I don't know,
Well,
or 30.
the reason I'm asking about it, I wasn't much of a person who thought in terms of evil, but I did used to do house cleansing, just clear out anything that's in there. But one time I haven't had an energy form that was physically abusing this woman. There was marks on her wrists and her legs, and we got it on camera with the stick form. Every time I threw holy water at it and commanded it to go, it would decrease and then get up again, decrease.
Mm.
It took me several days of working before it finally left.
Wow.
But that made me think there's something out there.
Here, but they're not souls. Just keep that in mind.
And the
They're
other
not
thing
souls.
I wonder is sometimes on this earth, you bring in past karma or past energy forms.
I don't know. Haven't delved into that enough.
So, yeah, I totally believe there can be a darkness. I totally believe that. I think some of these people working against other beings and cutting their social security and everything are darkness. So, what tip does Tom have to raise vibrational level?
Oh, first of all, I'm told that when you start requesting most benevolent outcomes in your life, you will start slowly but surely raising your vibrational level. Okay?
Right.
Because you're creating a gentle space around you, and you're creating gentle relationships with the people that are around you. So this starts raising your vibrational level.
Okay.
And then if you're kind and gentle and compassionate, all these things, if you try your very best to love everyone unconditionally, no
And
matter
that's
what.
hard to do because as humans, we're conditional.
Oh yes, no matter their genre, gender, pardon me, their political beliefs, their religious beliefs, you name it. It's like I call it turning on the love switch, and it's and you can do it. It just
But it takes a little practice. When I would first started this channel, and of course we all hated the Orange Menace. And we were like, and I'm telling everybody, I guarantee you he's going down. And the guides were giving. And then one day they said to me, you need to knock it off. And I said, what do you mean? They said, get off that negative your purpose is not to be angry. Your purpose is to come from love. So and I told people, my guide spoke to me and said that we can't be in this hell and damnation thing. And people got mad at me. How could you? You know what a horrible person is. How could you? And then later they would write again and say, you know, I started thinking about it and you're right. Because that which is likened to itself is drawn. Negative begets more negative. So if you just know that this too shall pass, that's what I'm trying to, with all my people that come, is just stand in faith and know this too shall pass.
Right. And there's a couple of prayers that I ask everyone to say each day, and they are on my website at www.thegentlewaybook.com.
Yeah, we
click on signs. All right. One of the signs, yes, science, SIGNS. There you can print out a sign that says, and sometimes I say it slightly differently than what's on the page, but it still works. I say, let's see, I send white light and love to every single continent, every single island, all the rivers, lakes, and streams, all the oceans and seas of the world, and I release this white light to go where it's needed the most. I'll light up the darkest corners of the planet so there's no more darkness, only light, and no more secrets. So that's one. Once you memorize it, it's easy to say each morning, boom, 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 but you can print it out at the first. The other one I say is like a forgiveness prayer. And Theo, my guardian angel, tells me that you know, I've had hundreds and hundreds of lives, and this is the first life that I was ever that I ever came up with this. And he said, this is a very important prayer, and you need to say it every single day because all of your lives on earth are going on at the same time, and you affect every single one of your lives in a benevolent way every time you say this prayer each morning. So I say, I ask any and all beings to come to the aid and comfort of anyone that I've ever harmed, either physically, mentally, morally, spiritually, or emotionally in any past, present, or future life. And I ask that any and all beings come to the aid and comfort of the families and friends of anyone that I've ever harmed in any way, in any past, present, or future life. Thank you.
Wow.
And if you say those two, I guarantee that'll help raise your vibrational level.
Right. Oh, yeah. Well, just stopping that negative really helps. But yeah, that's a good prayer. So I know you have tapped into weather-related phenomena that's taking place now. I've been telling people, look out because the weather is just, we're shifting. And if you look at the Weather Channel, especially in the United States, people's roofs are getting torn off. People are losing their homes with this unusual, it starts with a D. It's some sort of
Demartus or
something.
I saw the word for the first time the other day myself. I said,
yeah,
never
but it's like almost like a hurricane, but it's not.
Yeah, it goes for like 100 or 200 or 300 miles.
And now we got this awful heat, which we knew was coming. And I see hurricanes again. So did they ever say that this will calm down, or should we fasten our seatbelt?
Oh, well, Gaia says these are cycles. That's what she calls them. And she did tell me, earlier this year, it's going to be a hot summer, especially in the South. And she nailed that nail because we've not only like in North Texas where I live, not only were we having 100-degree heat, but an 80% humidity, which is what you might expect on the Gulf Coast, but not this far inland. And
right now in Texas,
it was about a week ago, and It's gone down today. We're only in the 60 degree humidity. So it's much better. Even though it'll be 100 degrees today, it will not feel as oppressive as it was. There had only been 5 other times in the whole history of North Texas since they started making recordings that they had hit an 80-degree humidity index, whatever it's called, and this was it did like 2 days in a row, and then after that it was 79, 77, not too much better.
And then the governor decides that contractors, workers working outside, don't need a water break.
No,
that was nice.
Yeah.
They can't.
I'll refrain from saying it.
Yeah. So the weather changes that are taking place now even here where I live in Northern California, remember we had the Armageddon heat and the fires. It has been so pleasant, very unusual. Yeah. Chicago's been warmer than normal
and smoky.
Listen, did your guys say at all when the fires in Canada are going to slow down?
I haven't asked.
Okay. Maybe
nobody sent me that question.
I'll send it to you.
Okay.
Because it's really tough for people. I feel sorry for children. You know, they want to go outside and play, and they can't because the smoke. Hey, listen, we had embers from the first fire here where I am, the one that killed all those people sleeping in their beds. The embers were in San Francisco. It was like a bad dream. I got a text message from the emergency something alert, and I look, and this is how lazy I am. I'm laying in my bed. My son Jacob was living with me still, and I texted him in his bed next to me in another room. I said, should I worry? Because it said Calistoga, and I thought, well, that could be the city. And so I could hear him get up and walk out in the front of the house. And then he comes back in. He said, Mom, you should see this. So I begrudgingly got up, put shoes on, and walked out. And as soon as I walked out the door, the winds were like 70-mile-an-hour gusts. Good. And we walked to the end of the street, and I turned and looked up, and it was all on fire. And embers this big were coming. And as I look at him, I said, because he had his car and I had my car, and the babies, Lulu and Jack were still babies. I said, you know what? I'm just going to grab my paperwork, maybe a few pieces of clothes, dog food, and you and your brother grab what you want, and let's get out of here. I no sooner said that, and that's when the power went off. We were out of power for like 7 days. That's when I bought a generator out there.
There we go.
God, that sucker. We've had 2 planned power outages. They let us know. And it's seconds and the thing turns on. It's a Generac. So
good.
So you guys
back to just one thing. You know, every 6 months I'm allowed to ask about Yellowstone and the West Coast. And I've forgotten to ask. So I'll have to do that in the next week. But you know, the last time I had asked, it was a 73% chance that Yellowstone was going to erupt, and a 63% chance that the West Coast was going to have earthquakes. Okay. And it's stayed that way for about a year now. So, but Gaia says if you ever see a major departure from those areas and a major immigration into those areas, that's telling you that the souls of the people that don't have to go through that experience are getting them to leave, and the souls that want their charges to experience these.
But are you talking about people coming and going?
Yes. In other words, if there's a large departure and a large immigration, that's when you know the souls have said, go ahead with this. So
Well,
far, I
yes,
haven't seen it.
the West Coast is as long as the United States. I mean, are you talking northern, southern, middle, central?
Yeah, you name it.
Well,
So we'll see. Yeah, there's been, I read recently, there's been a fairly large migration of people out of San Francisco, but it's more for economic problems. People, let's say, that can work remotely, and they said, why am I paying these high prices
oh,
in
and
San
let me tell
Francisco?
you, they just upped almost $9 across the Golden Gate Bridge. My son works in San Francisco.
Yeah.
Fortunately, he does a lot of work from home because he's a land surveyor. In a year, he can take the big federal tests and sign the maps. But until then, he has to work for a company.
Hmm.
And he said, Mom, San Francisco is horrible.
Hmm.
Now, I'm having an event in San Francisco. Fortunately, it's not in a bad area. But
Yeah.
listen, even Malibu, Santa Barbara, Laguna Beach, all those places I love in Southern California, tons of homeless. But San Francisco, for many years, like when I go to the theater, I love when I went and saw Hamilton, it smells like pee. And then in Oakland, you can't even put a coffee cup. Somebody will break your window and grab it. It's really sad.
No. Wow.
So California's a little tough. Yeah. Right now I live in a decent place, but it's just like selling is my place would get sold like that, but where do you buy? And the interest on this is 3.54. I'm not going to find that deal again.
No, but it'll go down again one of these days.
How's your health doing? You had some issues with.
Doing pretty good. I'm barely, I'm trying to think if I've had any major, just had a tooth filled, no big deal.
Oh God, that hurt.
But I'm cranking along pretty good, and just waiting for my trip to the mothership, because Antura says he'll take care of me.
I know you've been saying that, but the time frames are hard, especially when you're talking to a different universe.
Oh, I know, and so I'm waiting around for for a promised overall body healing. After all, there are only a few million years ahead of us in medical.
Right, right. So, did you see a lot of medical things coming up for the future that are fantastic to help?
Yeah, and even of course, I've been told there's this free energy machine that's coming, and um, and of course, Dr. Greer has been trying to urge people, whoever is inventing free energy machines, that look, you're going to get it's going to get taken away from you, or you're going to get murdered, because the oil companies don't want the free energy machines, and we need to release this with no patent, so that anybody and everybody all over the world can do it.
And do it.
One of the things that just came up, I think it was in this last newsletter, or the newsletter before, and this was sent to me by one of my readers in Australia. There's a new, I don't know about a new enzyme. There's an enzyme called the HUC enzyme, and it can make electricity out of air.
I've heard about that.
And Gaia says this is going to be one of the greatest improvements, or what do you want to call it, greatest advancements in the 21st century.
Wow.
So that's going to be a big thing.
Lisa just put the Verrazano Bridge in New York at $17.
Oh,
I don't even know what bridge that is. I'll have to look it up.
yeah.
Thank you, Lisa, for putting Kevin's. But people were talking. I was a nurse in Oakland. I worked the trauma unit at a hospital it's a county hospital where the indigent patients came, stab wounds. In fact, if I was ever stabbed or shot, take me there, because they had specialists from all over, from all universities. But anyway, so at night when you'd leave, you could hear gunshots out and up on the ninth floor, L&D, and there was a nursery. One day I went in there to say hi to a friend, and there was a bullet hole up on the ninth floor. So I tell everybody this story, but I always bought a new car every 4 years because I was working as a nurse, so I could afford it, because I never wanted to break down. I always wanted a vehicle that I knew, hey, Kevin, some people, sorry, some people will take a car and keep fixing it. And I know some new cars, I had a Chevy Chevette that I bought brand new, was a piece of junk. Even the windshield wipers broke. Oh, this is interesting. Tamara says HRC enzyme electricity turns hydrogen gas into electrical current. Wow. That's amazing.
Yep.
So
and who knows how they're going to use it. But, I had a guy that's been talking to me for the last 2 years or so that lives in the woods on the East Coast. I won't say exactly where. I don't want people looking for him. And he's been working on a free energy machine. And he's finally said that he'd give it to the world, but he doesn't do anything. He says that, but I've been told, in one of my sessions that there's a couple things wrong with it that need to be fixed. And he's telling me, well, I don't have $40,000 to do a model. And, I wish he would be one of the ones, but I keep being told that there's somebody that has a free energy machine that is going to release it. And I said, well, Dr. Greer, and they said, no, it's somebody else. So we'll
okay.
see.
But I'm curious, did that person come? Lots of times the ETs will go work through somebody to give them that information.
Oh,
I'm
absolutely.
positive. Like, people are so against vaccines, and some people get sick with it. I'm not saying do it. If you got a tendency to get real sick with a vaccine, definitely don't do it. But my guides told me polio, all those that had stopped mass deaths of these young people, children that were dying left and right. It was given to us from another realm, to the scientists. Some have even dreamt of it in their sleep. So, people are acting like, oh, they got little communicators in there and they're following you. It's a bunch of malarkey. But there are some people that get real sick. So I understand, especially with the COVID one. But I say take vaccines. I don't care what Robert Kennedy Jr. has to say. Okay, it's in the music. Hi, Tom and Linda. Do you see us connecting to or understanding our concurrently lived lives in the quantum field in the future, parentheses, so to speak?
I don't understand the question.
Do you see us connecting?
You want to translate for me?
Do you see us connecting to or understanding our concurrently lived lives in the quantum field in the future? So,
now
it's
keep
been
in mind,
living more than one life at once.
Okay, yes. So we do have 12 parallel lives going on all at the same time. Now, a lot of the inventions, and it could be the free energy machine, may be coming from the upper timelines, and it's working its way down to our timeline 6. That could be a lot of, in fact, most of the inventions that you will see come out started on an upper timeline.
There you go.
It's easier lives.
Dolores Cannon, that's the first time I was introduced to that. She talks about talking to Leonardo da Vinci or Notre Dame or somebody like that, where he was actually telling her she's standing in the life he's living now. It's like we're all living. It's hard for me to digest.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to digest. So, okay. Do you guys got any other questions? Do you have to get going, my friend?
Oh, I'm okay.
I love this little doggy here. Oh, okay. So the
Oh,
ET.
you know, some of the other things I've received recently, in 10 years, pesticides will be gone from the earth.
Ooh,
I think that's, I think that's great.
that's
Less,
fantastic.
less than that in the United States, but 10 years, you know, it takes longer for some of these third world countries to get rid of that. And I've been told the Writers Guild strike highest probability is it ends in 3 months.
Okay.
Um, Sexuality in Atlantis and Lemuria, there was they because they existed for thousands of more years than we have in modern times. Um, they Everybody accepted all types of sexuality, very
Yeah.
accepted.
So did my Native Americans. So did my tribe. Native Americans weren't against. If you needed to be more of a woman in a male body, that was fine. If you were in love with the same sex, that was fine.
Of course, and I may have mentioned this before, I'm not sure. Ukraine will be the last war in Europe. There will not be another one.
Oh my
Now,
God, that's great news. When did you get that hit?
uh, just a while back, but um, you know, I haven't asked. I was told that Putin will be on the way out, you know, like in the around this time period.
Okay.
But he survived the revolt. Now, what does that mean? No.
Well, it also means he looks weak.
Yeah, or weaker. And but who's going to say, "Here's the door"? don't,
Well,
don't let it.
I see him running. I see someone else that might be military like taking over.
Yeah,
But then after that, they're going to actually have a free and fair election. And that's when things change.
yeah. And let's see, there was something else. Oh, um, now, this may be of interest to your viewers. Um, I ask, I've asked Gaia, you know, how did her soul eventually get to Earth? And it turns out, uh, she explained that she was here at almost the very beginning of when Creator did what would be called maybe a small bang, because he created, uh, you know, a couple of hundred or few hundred um, galaxies, but not the number of trillions of galaxies that we have in the universe today. So he started out and he was checking to see how things were working. And so Gaia, the soul of Gaia, had an interest in becoming a uh, quantum physicist or quantum master. That's what it is, a quantum master. And because uh, Creator knew that she had that interest, he said, "Look," he said, "you need to visit each one of the galaxies that I've created so far, and see why each one of them is different from the rest. Because in our galaxy, all these trillions of galaxies, every single one of them are different from the others, which is just amazing."
Yeah.
And so she said, "Okay." And so she ensouled a 2 mile wide asteroid, and she started visiting every single one of these galaxies. And I said, but they were kind of jumbled closer together than they are now. And I said, "Well, how long did it take?" And she said, "Well, it, you know, easily would take several hundred years per galaxy." But So you can imagine she went through millions of years of going through these galaxies until she got to the point where she could take over Earth, because Earth is so different from all the others because of these four negative energies, and having to make 12 Earths all at the same time.
Right. Wow.
So she had to be, and I said, well, how many quantum masters are there in our universe? And she said, oh, you can count them on one hand. There's less than 5. And I said, are all of them planets? And she said, no, suns, what other? So
Wow.
I thought
That was very interesting.
yeah, gives a kind of peek doorway at what she had to do to prepare herself to be the soul of the earth.
Okay. So to ask questions on your newsletter, they would go, well, they just got to go on your site.
Yeah.
The Gentle Way. Wait, hold on. Gentle News at thegentlewaybook.com?
Nope.
No.
It's just go to thegentlewaybook.com.
That's what you said before, and I
The
didn't.
Gentle News is the name of the newsletter. And so that's how you get there.
I'll put that for you guys that need to reach them. You got a lot of testimonies too of people that had some really miraculous things happen
Oh,
using this. Oh yeah, you've even written me and told me, yeah, you heard from so and so, and
yeah, true.
it's kind of cool.
And the editor of my newsletter now is someone that saw me on your program. And when I lost my last editor because she became the mother of a baby girl, Lane stepped in, and she's my new editor. Thanks to you.
Oh, great. Yeah, that's wonderful. And listen, I'll go along and I have all these guests, and then people will be saying, when's Tom coming on again? I got to get a hold of him. I got to get a hold of him.
Here I am.
So your wish is my command.
Any more questions from people?
Any more questions, everybody? Can you believe we're almost at an hour? We're a couple of minutes away from an hour.
Okay.
Wait. What? Okay. What is this? I don't know if this is a question. The Daily Mail UK did an article about Marco Rubio talking about disclosure information they received, I think, from Dr. Grell. He mentioned the shadow government.
Yeah. These senators and congressmen are finally seeing the light of day, or and they're passing these bills. There's a brand new bill from the Senate Select Intelligence Committee, Senate Bill number 2103, I think, where it's going to give the corporations and the corporation CEOs and all 6 months to not be prosecuted. In other words, to come forward and say, yes, we've been doing this back engineering. This is what we've been doing. This is what it is. And they won't be prosecuted. After that 6 months, they're going to be subject to all these suits.
Oh, wow. So listen, here's our last question from Summer. Is CRISPR technology from aliens?
I don't know.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't.
Now we'll have to submit that to his when he asks his questions. So I'm going to watch that. Martha, I'm going to watch that 3-hour video with Dr. Greer.
Good.
I
think you'll have a lot to talk about.
Oh, yeah. I got a few chores I have to do. And when I get home, I'm going to sit down.
Okay.
Well, you guys, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me.
Zalia just said, oh, isn't that interesting about corporations? Things are changing, you guys, energetically, astrologically, too. There's a lot of stuff taking place. We're going into Aquarius. Thank you. It's in the music. So okay, thank you, you guys. Now, how did you like having them live rather than Zoom? Did you like that better? This is our first time doing Zoom. I like the internet.
I just concentrate on you. I don't
Yeah.
look at the chat room.
You're not looking at the chat or anything. Excellent. Love it, says Celtic. Okay. Thank you, you guys. Kelbell just said live. They like live. Okay, so the next time we hook up, we'll do live. All right, my friend. So I'm going to say good day. I got to go do chores, and then I'm going to come back and watch that 3-hour video.
Okay. Bye, guys. If you don't find it, give me a call.
I will.